We're back and have a fire department update from Rose.
Well, Mayor, Council, I want to take this opportunity to give you an idea of some of the highlights and going-ons in the fire department right now. Jump right into some of our statistics. In our two divisions, so far this year, we've ran a little over 1,300 calls. We've got a total emergency response time of 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Wanted to just touch on that real quick, and I've got a slide following this to give you some information on it, but I wanted to look back at some previous data starting in 2010 to see how we compare to today with some of the traffic changes that we've been experiencing. In 2010, we had a 5-minute and 25-second response time. Overall, 2011, 534. Last year, 526. So we're staying pretty constant with our response times, even though we're experiencing a lot of traffic changes. We're working very hard to maintain our fire training to be above our 20 hours per month. Some of that is just internal driven. Some of it, as you may or may not be aware, is ISO driven. We also train 7 hours a month minimum. And this year in our dollar loss, you notice the last briefing I gave you, for 2012, we had a $500,000 loss for the whole year. You can see we've jumped up quite a bit, and it doesn't take too many significant fires to see a large increase in that. We had an apartment fire at 306 Vine that made the biggest impact on this, and we've also had a few residential fires that has affected as well. Over on the fire marshal's office, you can see we've had some public education classes, 927 in the audience. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about these smoke detector checks in just a minute. We do our pre-fire planning. We share that between the marshal's office and our operations guys as the same way we do with our commercial business inspections. It's not a really good slide, and I apologize for that. I get this from the Emergency Communications Center, and since you probably can't see it, I'll just give you a little idea of what's important on that. In the lower left purple cylinder is the processing time that dispatch, how long it takes them to process the call and get it out to us. They do very, very well at that. They average about 47 seconds to 48 seconds to take and triage the call and get it out to our crews. We, in turn, work very hard to get out of the station in 1 minute or less. And if you could, and I apologize, if you could see that a little better, you would see that we are right at 59 seconds. This is for April, but we have been consistent throughout the year so far. Our drive time, or dispatch to arrival, is 4:42, and that gives us a total response time of 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So we're happy with this. There's always room for improvement, but looking at the last few years, we've been able to maintain a pretty constant response time for our community. Some yes, sir.
I want to make sure everybody understands that. That is from the time, 5 minutes and 30 seconds is from the time the phone rings.
They pick it up and say, 911, what's your emergency?
From that time till they arrive on the scene is 5 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yes, sir.
And they have to get out of bed sometimes, or out of training, or wherever they are, they earn out, and then the traffic that you,
yes,
yeah, that's pretty amazing. So to make sure everybody.
Well, especially when you consider, those fire trucks aren't that fast. Even the ambulance doesn't. They're not race cars.
And that's true. And you don't want them to go that fast.
Yeah.
It's hard to stop.
Well, they can't get on the major highways anymore because of all the construction.
That has been a challenge. Now, I'll touch really briefly on that. That's something that we will continue to visit with our neighbors on, and to make sure we have good agreements to cover some of these accesses as things continue to develop on the freeway. That's very important. We have communication set up and agreements to help each other out. We just had 6 of our firefighters complete their probation. They completed 1 year with the city of Euless, and these from left to right, you've got Rob Butler, Toby Clower, Cody Hughes, Kyle McNeese, and Matt Sanders, and Michael Trough. We're very proud of these guys. They were all hired pretty much together, and they have all been very successful and fit in extremely well in that department. Driver engineer Chris Sutterfield. He was promoted on May the 6th We had a driver engineer test, and he placed #1 out of 13 candidates. And this picture was taken with his wife Ashley pinning his badge on it at the promotion ceremony. Our two newest firefighters, Tony Crabb and Brandon Schroeder. Tony Crabb on the left came from Altoona, Iowa. He was a firefighter at the Altoona, Iowa Fire Department. He has got about 4 years on the previous fire department experience. And then Brandon Schroeder, he came to us from Colleyville, city of Colleyville. He was a driver engineer. So both of these two young men both have previous experience, and we're expecting great things from them as well. Arbor Days. You mentioned that earlier, Mayor. We were proud to have a lot of visits this year from children and adults to visit our booth. We gave out a lot of fire prevention material, and we thought it went pretty well. You can see that Ken Rawson was extremely excited. He got to spin the wheels with the kids, and he just had a blast.
That's pretty bad when males go up, and somebody has to put their hand in front of them.
Poor Steve.
I believe he was probably trying to get out of the picture.
That would.
Yeah.
So you always want to hit the picture.
Our CFA alumni helped out throughout the event. They were very involved throughout the entire weekend. It's just a photograph that was taken at our annual live fire training in Louisville. We try to do at least one group training of the shifts a year. So in this case, you can see Chief Bennett kind of to the right near the building. He coordinated this fire training in Louisville where they use what's called Class A materials, wood, pallets, things like that. It's a little different experience for our firefighters compared to those of you that have been out to TCC and the gas props. The guys really enjoy this, so we try to work that in at least one time a year. Here's a picture of some nighttime training at B&B Record. Chief Morris behind me coordinates that particular training evolution over 3 nights. This year went very well. He incorporated some highway operations into it for the guys to get used to the managed lanes and things like that. So we have done quite a bit of training this year. This particular photograph was one of the NEPTA firefighter survival training props that was built by our guys here in Euless, and it was ultimately used over in Grapevine, and I believe we had over 500 firefighters through Northeast Tarrant County go through this. It was so popular that it is currently in Hearst. Watauga's going to borrow it afterwards, and I think maybe Haltom City wants it after that. So they did a great job on it. They built it just with a vision that they had, and these firefighters crawl through this prop in their firefighting gear and SCBA, and they are somewhat blacked out. Their vision is obscured, and the wood prop closest to us with the slats going upward simulates up in the attic with a rafter. So, and then the other part is confined space, and they go through that and they actually go back around the other direction. So, apartment inspection program. This is a photograph of Charles Anderson at 2801, Studio 2801, and you know we have quite a large number of apartment complexes. I believe it's one of 108 complexes. I'm not completely sure, but we have over 13,000 individual units. So we have a lot of private fire protection that our fire marshal's office goes out and inspects. One of the things that, and again, this is not the greatest slide, but I wanted to show this to you. These are some examples of apartment complexes that our fire marshal's office has went out to, and they go to the individual units, and these are all occupied. What's important about that, and where, like Captain Lander said, it's just our presence out at these apartments has resulted in an increase in the number of smoke detectors that are not disabled. That is a big problem in multifamily apartments. If they get disabled, taken down, don't get maintained. And what we do is we go out and we do a percentage. We generally start out with 10%, and then by the number of violations if found, we will continue on with the inspection. So we do a random, just kind of a random draw, and we go throughout the apartment complex. We try to achieve a 90% success rate on smoke detectors that are working. One of the things that we do, though, is we make them verify to our marshal's office that ultimately 100% of all the smoke detectors have been checked, and they have to sign off on that to show that they have been inspected and are in working order. And that is all we have going on in the fire department right now.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions of the fire department?